Alright, you war gamers out there, it's time for another FAQ review. This time I am looking at the Tau, and there was quite a bit that I actually wrote down for Tau. The first one, more importantly, is that there was a rules error that came out that the tide wall, shield line, drone port, and gun rig, it cannot move if there's an enemy model on it, or if a friendly model or models are locked in combat. And that's going to be a huge deal. When I first heard about the tide wall, my mind thinking, okay, so
vertical line STM,
it's
vertical line, switch
not
channel
considered to
officer,
be
meeting room on clear.
It's not considered to be an actual building. It's pretty much area terrain. It's moving. It's got all this stuff to benefit Tau. And, of course, having not ever won a game against Tau, my mind is now thinking, how much more cheese does Tau need? Well, I think that this era, this rule change, kind of gives us a little bit of a relief from that. So really all you gotta do is get something close to or on it, and it can't move, loses most of its effect. But I'm kind of curious, does the enemy model have to move onto it, assault onto it, which I would assume, or can you deep strike a model or a squad? Granted, deep striking probably is not going to be the best thing, considering it would probably be considered a deep strike mishap. That aside, we're going to get into the rest of what I have written down. Everyone knows the storm surge. I have not yet faced it. I don't know if anyone in my local group does. If you face it, please comment below what you guys think of it. Is it something to be scared of? Is it something that can be easily dealt with? But I know in order for it to really, really have its effective shooting, it has to deploy its anchored. Now, if the storm surge deploys its anchor while it's on the tide wall, the tide wall is then considered anchored. That's going to be a benefit as well. We also know that when the tide wall is anchored is also, or storm surge is anchored, that's also when it's at its weakest. The tide wall, continuing with the theme of the tide wall, it can pivot, but no more than 6 inches away from where it started in the movement phase. That was a big thing, because again, we heard tide wall can move up the field. This way, with this potential FAQ, at least it's saying it can move, it can pivot, but not any more than 6 inches from where it started. So, by all accounts, it's only going to have a 6-inch movement. I'm okay with that. Again, have not faced it. May not like what I face, but then again, I have enough stuff that maybe can deal with it. One question, and I think this is probably a big cheese. The Piranha Firestream formation. And this is just hypothetical numbers. But if the squad, if the formation loses 3 of its 4 flyers, and the last model leaves the table per the Tau rule, rearm and refuel, when the model comes back, the whole unit comes back. So basically, if you destroy 3, 1 gets off to rearm and refuel. Out of 4 flyers, all 4 are coming back. That, how much more cheese? Really, GW? How much more cheese does the Tau really need at this point? Also going on with the Piranha Firestorm formation, if one model is immobilized, it can still benefit from the rearm and refuel rule if all the surviving models are within 6 inches of the table edge. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Still think it's a little bit overboard, but hey, you know what? It's GW. One question was, can the XV8 Crisis Battlesuit take 2 of the same weapons? It can. It can take 2 of the same weapons. However, that particular weapon will lose its Twin Link status. So if you take a Twin Link Fusion Blaster, you can then just put 2 sets of Fusion Blaster, arm it with 2 sets of Fusion Blasters, but you don't get the Twin Linked. Hey, you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. Now, then I saw a couple questions, and really these are the last 2 things I have written down, concern marker lights. We all know how much we all hate marker lights. One of them is, if you use a marker light to increase Battlesuit's ballistic skill, it doesn't just affect a certain weapon. It affects every weapon. Again, GW, are you trying to kill every other army? Because really the only other army at this point, really you've only got maybe 2, maybe 3 armies that might give Tau a bit of a challenge. Of course, we all know Necrons are number 1. And it's hard to keep a Necron down. Space Marines may be able to deal with the cheesiness a little bit. And I would venture to say even Grey Knights would be close enough to deal with it. The other thing that affects marker lights are, if you have a void shield, marker lights ignore it. So, in a real brief recap, because there are a bunch of stuff on box sets which I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge about, but to do somewhat overview, in a way, there was, I'm not going to say it was complete nerfs, but there were a few slight nerfs to Tau to kind of give, kind of have some opportunities that you really have to take advantage of in order to really inflict some sort of mass casualties. But they also buffed elements of the Tau Codex and abilities to where, as an Imperium player, as player of a couple other Xenos armies, you're left scratching your head as to figure out, okay, how do we take this out? So what do you guys think of the Tau FAQ? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you like me and you're thinking, okay, GW, do you really hate us all? What do you guys think? Just post in the comments below, start a discussion, and I'll have another Codex review next time.